our new. Oh, we're recording now. It's good. Okay. We are using our new Sidurim tonight, and there for Mishkan Tefillah. There's actually one big. I don't know if you have the right one. Look there. Get on the top, the middle row over there, or you see that middle row. That row. Yeah, we need that. Right.
I wasn't really paying attention.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so we have this. That's right. We have weekdays that also has the festivals as well. There's one big book that the CCR makes, and then there's one that's small for Shabbat. But we have kind of broken it in two. Now they have both here. So here we go. We're going to need to light the festival lights. Have you lit lights before?
No.
No. Okay. Here, come here, Revitson. I'm going to get the Revitson to light. We're still working on the number of people. And by the way, just so I'm clear, Jason, if we have 7 or what we have here, we're able to we're holding our minion based on people here and over there. So I'm just in the virtual world. So here we go. We're on page 120 or 384. So I'm getting the Revitson to read here for us right here.
The English part?
Yeah, the English part. And then you can light. No, read the English first.
May these festival lights open our eyes to the joys in life, beauty that delights the eye, freedom to be ourselves, the knowledge of Torah that shapes our moral being, the heritage of celebration that unites us as people. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this season.
Go ahead and light those up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalik shel yom tov. Turn now to page, they're very sticky, to page 125 or 389 in the brackets in the blue. At the top, we read together for Shavuot. Together. Now summer's prospect, the world ripening and growing softer, the promise of harvest fulfilled, the warming sun lies before us. Now the vision of Torah, the world at peace and growing gentler, the promise of goodness fulfilled, the loving heart lies open to the mind. Continue now. Page 128, page 392. We rise for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach l'rutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Bagala, uvizman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yesh meraba mevorach, le'alam mehalmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kodesha בריחו לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ויאמרו Amen. On the next page, Baruch. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Page 132, 396 in our in the brackets. All right. And we have this concept of Ma'ariv Aravim that we are bringing in the evening, this time of the festival of Shavuot, bringing in the evening with our Chag. So we'll do a little bit here. I'm going to do a little melody that I did when I was interviewing. It's the very top of the 132 or 396. It's in the Hebrew, most of it. So if you don't read Hebrew, that's okay. We have a transliteration on the top left where it says in blue, Baruch. So it goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. Now go all the way to the last two lines, or the last three lines in the transliteration. It says El Chai B'Kayam. Okay, and then same in the Hebrew. It goes like this. El Chai B'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamari Varavim. Now go up where it says Ufit Vuna. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line in Hebrew, and I think also the fifth line in the transliteration. Ufit Vuna Mishaneitim Umachalif et Azmanim Sader et HaKochabim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirzono. Now those last lines again, third from the bottom. Here we go. El Chai B'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamari Varavim. Well, the days roll into evening, the moon rises in the sky, then sinks low, giving way to light. Bring about the sun, will you bring about the sun each day? You brighten everything, and then you fill our sky with stars. In all this song we sing. You need the one on the second shelf. El Chai B'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Vaed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamari Baruch, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Amari Haravi. Page 133, 397 on the other side. We read there in the middle. How do we find God? We find God revealed in the order, in the physical universe, in the compassion of the human heart, and in the guiding wisdom of Torah. And where do we find that? We find that in our everlasting love with God, right? So we continue on page 135, 399. In the middle of the page, we read together, Sinai was only the beginning. The Torah has never ceased to grow. In every age, it has been purified and enlarged. It has a permanent core and expanding periphery. It expands as the horizon of our vision grows. Not are God's revelations confined to Israel. God has been the inspiration of the great and good among all families of the earth. And God's love and guidance reach out to all the world. We reach out with our prayer on page 134, 398. Ahavat Olam goes like this. Day and night, show us the way, teaching us to number our days. When we rise and when we lie down, Ahavat Olam. About 2/3 of the way down, it says Kihem Cheyenne. Look for that either in the Hebrew or in transliteration. Kihem Cheyenne. Page 134, 398. Kihem Cheyenne. Ve'orech Yameinu. Uvahem Neged. Yomam V'layla. The top, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam. Beit Yisrael. Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot. Hukim u'mishpatim. Otanu limad. Let's try it again. Very top. Ahavat Olam. Here we go. Ready? Ahavat Olam. Beit Yisrael. Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot. Hukim u'mishpatim. Otanu limad. Put out a little English sheet for this part. Goes like this. Day and night, show us the way, teaching us to number our days. When we rise and when we lie down, Ahavat Olam. Page 134, 398. Prepare ourselves for our oneness with God. Nishima Mukah, deep breath. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, v'hem nege yomam v'layla. Levatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Page 138, 402. Page 138, 402. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 141, 405. We read together at the bottom where it says doubting. Doubting is but the forefront of faith, a faith in the infinite growth of an unbounded creation. A doubting age is one of the restlessness and discontent with what is current. A doubt is an idea that is still alive. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be uncovered. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what shall be. But we imagine what shall be and what has happened. Over on page 143 and 407, we see there this time of Sukkot that we think about this line of Perez. Perez begot Hezron begot Ram begot Aminadab begot Nachshon, and Nachshon begot Salma begot Boaz, and Boaz begot Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot King David. And we find that that's a message for our people as we think about Torah and freedom. Page 142, 406. Micha mocha ba'ilim Adonai. Who is like you, God, who gives the sustenance to our people, this great thing, the Torah? Moshe ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדרונה את יעקב וגולו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Page 144, 408, Hashkivenu, right? We lie down, and so we read together in the English in the middle of the page there, grant, O God, together. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace forevermore. The third line. By the way, I wrote another rap for this that's coming up, but I'll reveal that not on one of the Chagim. It goes like this. Ufros aleinu sukat, Shalom ufros aleinu Shalom Baruch atah Adonai Sukkot, Shalom Aleinu, Ufos Aleinu, Sukkot, Shalom Turn now to page 146, page 410. We make the call for the festivals, right? What does it mean that we call out to the communities? You have to imagine in your mind that it goes out from Jerusalem, right? One little hill over here, Pisgat Zev, around the old city, and these guys are calling from hill to hill, right? And of course, the big hills had fires on top of them. I don't know if you know that. That's how they knew that the festivals were starting, right? So they would light a fire. That's, they know that, festival's starting, and then it kind of keeps on going out, and it went out, according to the rabbis, all the way out to, out into Eastern Europe, right? And so That's why, but they weren't sure, right? So that's why we have 2 days of Chag, we still have that left. By the way, they talk about this in the Talmud. This isn't something that's new in terms of Yom Tov and Yom Tov Sheni. The rabbis already knew that you didn't actually have, or you didn't need, once you knew calendration, you didn't actually have to, watch out for the fires. But they did that anyway, all right? And so, and they would make the call for the festival. And so we rise, page 146, 410, and we make the call for the festival. Here we go. Vaydaber Moshe et Moadei Adonai el Bnei Yisrael. And we read together there in the English. And Moses declared the appointed festivals of Adonai to the people of Israel. And then we turn page, let's see, where I'm looking for, on page 148. And, oh no, this is for the festival. I knew that. Again, turning for Tefillah. Here, page 204, 468. 204, 468 is our festival Amidah. All right, festival Amidah. Adonai, Sifatai Tivta, Sifatai Tivta, Ufiyagi, Tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai Tivta, Sifatai Tivta, Ufiyagi, Tehilatecha. Open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praises. Adonai, Sifatai Tivta, Ufiyagi, Tehilatecha. On the next page, 206 and 470. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Ha'norah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chazdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozenu Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Michayei HaKol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid Hatah, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'agifurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Top of page 209, 473. We read together, your might, O God, renews the earth. With dewdrops of light and blessing, let the earth be illumined and blessed. With dewdrops of joy and delight, let the earth rejoice and sing out. With dewdrops of life and well-being, let the earth be revived and improved. And with dewdrops of redemption, let the earth be redeemed. Livracha velo liklala, lechayim velo lemavet, lisboa velo lerazon. For a blessing and not for curse, for life and not death, for abundance and not want. We continue on page 214 and where it says 478. May be seated, and I will work us through the rest of the Amidah together. Bottom of page 214 and 478. Together we read, you have chosen us in love and favor by making us holy through your mitzvot and drawing us close to your service, that through your great and holy name may become known in all the earth. And in your love, Adonai, our God, you have given us feasts of gladness and seasons of joy, this festival of Shavuot, this season of our receiving the Torah. Yes, to unite in worship and recall the Exodus from Egypt. Page 216 and 480. Eloheinu velo avotenu v'imotenu yalev yavo v'yizacher zichronenu zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha L'tova l'chen l'chesed rachamim u'chayim u'shalom b'yom chag Shavuot hazeh. Our God and God of our ancestors, be mindful of your people Israel and recall our merit for good and grace and in loving kindness and compassion for life and peace on this festival of Shavuot. Now I'm going to read the first part of the Hebrew, and the response is Amen. All right, so it's going to be obvious. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo l'tova, ufogdenu vo livracha, v'hoshienu vo l'chayim. Together at the bottom. This day remember us for well-being together. Amen. This day bless us with your nearness. Amen. This day help us to fulfill a fuller life. Amen. Page 220 and 484. 220 and 484. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer and love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your spirit upon us, and let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Together, blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato l'Zion. The top of page 222, 486. Modim anachnu lach. We read together in the middle. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you, our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all of these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Turn over here to page 225, 489. We read together at the top part of this prayer for peace. Together, give me no gift of weapons, nor feelings of victory. I want no triumph. Let me fight, but lose. Give me heroic stubbornness and love, unending heart, to give friendship without measure, to forgive without end. Only grant me strong, bright senses to bring happiness, to help, to hear the needs of even a pulse beat, the call of any person. Top of 224, 488, Song for Peace, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'cholei ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב, ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום, שלום רב, ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. And friends, since we prayed together through the Amidah this Erev, we now take our own moments for our Tfilat Halev, the prayers from our own hearts, our own souls. Page 228, 492. At the top, by the way, there is a prayer there by one of the rabbis from the Talmud. Maybe you know this, but on the day of Torah, we should think about that. But they asked him at one point, said, well, what do you pray, at the end of your Amidah? He said, well, I'm going to share that, but don't ever write this down. And several thousand years later, you can see we are still looking at his word. So if you don't have your own words, it's okay. Feel free to read in there where it says, my God, or read in the Hebrew, Elohai Nitzur. Otherwise, use your own words. Says Shalom Bimromav. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens, may that one who Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu make peace on us. Va'al Kol Yisrael, all the people of Israel, Va'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, every living, breathing thing. Iyu l'ratzon, imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Iyu l'ratzon, imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali. Let me try that again now that everybody's gotten a little feel out of that, right? Has a very Cheyenne vibe to it. It's been around for a while, by the way. It's got a little Cheyenne vibe to it, particularly with my accent, right? Here we go. Let me try it again now. Look at the words where it, right there at the bottom of the page where it says Iyu l'ratzon. Iyu l'ratzon, imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Again. Iyu l'ratzon, imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali. Again. Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, Vegoali. Iyu l'ratzon, imrefi, v'hegyon libi lefanecha. Nice. Now we turn now to Misha Berach, and the problem is I got to make sure with this where it is in this little setup here. I'm pretty sure because I have Torah reading, so I will just look here, and I'm sure that they have a nice little listing for Misha Berach. I could be wrong.
Rabbi, I left it out for you. It says caring committee on the top
No, I
of
see.
it.
Yeah, no, I see that. But we're gonna have. But I need to put everybody on the page for the music, which is gonna be. And I'm just looking for it. Misha Berach lecholim. Let me see here. Let's see here. It's the only thing I'm not sure about in this bad boy. Let's see here. One said, "Does the people see it?" Let's see here now. They have everything else listed in here. Well, it's going to be in the Torah reading. So
it's on 511 in the complete volume.
It's 247.
247. There we go. Thank you. I knew we were going to have it's going to be slightly different in here, right? Here we go. Page 247 in our wonderful new prayer books. I'm going to put a little tag on that thing for this thing for next time. We'll need it again, obviously, this week. Okay. So can I have somebody to volunteer to read the list? Phil, we do that? Now, you guys know how I like to do it. We already going to have a slightly different masor. So we're going to sing the first verse of Debbie Friedman's Misha Berach. And then after we sing it, no, you stand right here. Yeah. And after we sing that verse, then we will Phyllis will offer the names that we have here in the synagogue, and then I'm going to give the bracha with it at that time as well. Then we'll sing the second verse. So here we go. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. All right, Phyllis is going to read, and then after she reads, then we'll look right around the congregation for anyone who'd like to add a name, and at that time we'll also ask for whoever would like to add names for Misha Berach from Zoom as well. So here we go.
Marvin Rafaela Batsera Imenu, Jason Bloomberg, Ed Clark, Eliava Batsera, Malka Batsera, Cheryl Cohen, Patrick Van, Amy Davis, Dovi Shlomo Ben-Haya Yocheved, Lila Galensky, Priscilla Golden, Rivka Haya Bat Hana Rivka Batsera, Morris Gardner, Babs Klein, Yaakov Ben Menchem Mantaka, Henry Stinson and Melvin Sanders, Roger and Patricia McDaniel, Donna Pepper, Benjamin David Ben Talia Ruth, Micah Ben Talia Ruth, Georgia Young, Mary Ann Palmer, Dwayne Zobel, Adrian Mantaka, Sigurd Johnson, son of Otto, Oraz Mantaka, Aharon Yaakov Ben Pesach, Carol Hirschman, Debbie Collier, Rick Padilla, Karen Everett, Jamie Tenorio, Leo and Derek Robinson, Lonnie Ridenour, Mary Wilsey, Alex Premsler, Margaret Eisenbach Bloomberg, Matthew Snyder, Tickler McKinley, Deb Whaley, Steve Rubin, Stephanie Sterling, Terry Clark, Wari Means, Dixie Collins, John Healy, Rob Spellberg, Jason Perlin.
To those we have other names here in the synagogue.
Michael Fisher.
Do we have those who'd like to add names from Zoom? Just unmute yourself and add the names. Baruch atah Adonai rofei et hacholim. Blessed are you, God, the one who grants healing to the sick. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now, do we need to make some announcements? Do we do those now? We like to do them more at the end. Okay. All right, that's fine. So we turn now to page, I want to say 586, but I'll bet you that is not going to be right. It is, 322, and it shows in the brackets 586. Page 322 of the brackets, 586. Aleinu, we rise for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabach l'adon hakol l'atei g'zula le'otzeh breishi shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo samtel kenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Elifnan melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. On the next page, she'unotei shamayim beyoser haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al ushchinatu zo b'govei meromim hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Ebezulato Kakatu Betorato Bedata Yom Behashevota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Vashamayim Nima'al Ve'al ha'aretz mitachat einod. Top of page 327, 591. We read together. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Love each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with joy of wholeness, of freedom, and peace. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed v'nema v'haya Adonai Hakol ha'aretz bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shema echad. You may be seated. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. And when tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living, and in the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you, God. So this week at Mount Sinai congregation, I'm looking here, Jason, I'm making sure it's the recent Niftar list, right? And then where you have the arrows, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Jay Stark, Elka Jaros. No, these are going into different. Just the ones in our dates, right? Nope, maybe the whole thing. Jay Stark, Elka Jaros, Toma Nisbet Wolf, Dennis Quelo, Nahum Gelber, Jenny Quelo, Dorothy Feldman, Sam Young, Steve Maravitz, Joe Golden, Jake Whiteman, Stuart Weissman, William Fitterman, Father Tim Solon, Clarence Fisher Sr., Barbara Baracha Bat Henna Montaka, Christopher Tenoro. And the yard sites we remember here: Harry Schwartz, Harry Friedman, Mortimer Hertzberg, Goldie Lindenfeld, Dr. Harold Breen, Murray Crane, Mary G. Is it Hughes? I'm going with Hughes. Abraham Shapiro, Helen Nehart, and Samuel Shapiro. Do we have names that we need to add here in the sanctuary to our Kaddish list? Are there names of anyone that we need to add who is on Zoom? So if it's your tradition to rise for Kaddish, we allow for that at this time. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing, for a bracha. The Mourner's Kaddish, Kadisha Tom is on page 334, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba b'alamad ivra chutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Bagala uvisman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach leolam alamaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and comfort to all who mourn this day in Klal Yisrael. Together we say, Amen. Friends may be seated. The announcements that we have, who's got announcements? All right, we'll move this for you there, Phyllis. All right. Hope I didn't mess anything up or stuff over there. Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. This is something new. We haven't done this for a while.
Thank you.
So, yes, thank you. Please join us afterwards for the appropriate dairy concoctions in the social hall. Let's see. Services tomorrow at 7. Services Saturday morning at 10, followed by Yisker. Is that correct?
Well, it will be almost part of it, but yes, right into Yisker.
Right. And then a dairy meal after. And are you planning to do a teaching after when we go into the social?
We are going to do a teaching after, so nobody's leaving. I have my. We will have to give you guys some tour. I know we were cooking cookies and so forth, but Rabbi has put together a nice little teaching. So we're,
And we'll do that in the social hall?
We can do that in the social hall.
Okay. Sunday at 3 o'clock we have dancing. Monday night at 5:30 is Bibles and Beer at Uncle Charlie's. Tuesday is Torah Tuesday, and that will bring us to services next Friday. And then there's also cooking Sunday at 10 o'clock. And cooking next Thursday at
Whenever time you want to show up, it'll be all there.
really?
Paula
Oh, okay. So it's Challah Thursday
and Sunday.
and Sunday. Okay, we're gonna make a lot of challah, and they all sell.
Well, that's good.
One other notice. The water was shut off into the building. There's a water leak, so they shut the water off. So if you're expecting water in the next hour or two, you won't find it.
Oh, lovely.
That just happened?
Yeah.
Well, we do have hand sanitizer out there, so or there is some in the bathroom. I know that.
There's some out there too, I think. Okay, never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
And I think that's it.
All right, very good.
One more quick announcement.
Move out to, we do need a little bit of wine so we can do the festival kiddish out here. So I will take out the I guess I'm going to end our
Rabbi?
service. Yes.
Rabbi,
Yes.
you can actually unplug the iPad and carry it into the social hall with you if you want to share your teaching with the people on Zoom. And Steph can pause and restart the recording if she wants to do that.
Well, if we would do that, that's fine. Sure. Okay. So we are going out to let's go out there and let's get some wine festival kiddush so that we can do that. And I will carry this out there and we will restart it, I guess, and record, or however we do that.
Just leave it on the whole time, and Steph.
Okay. So this is Rabbi Delcau. I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I led services, but it's been a while since I've been doing Facebook with on services, and I think that for some reason they added another button for me to go live. But I know I'm live now for the Tikkun. We have a Tikkun Leil Shavuot. We are not staying up all night. By the way, the tradition is you ladies are all off the hook, because the tradition is that we stay up all night and we study. So I would teach my session, and somebody else would teach another session, and it goes all the way to Shacharit when the sun rises. Okay. So now you ask, has the rabbi done that? Yes, many times. But these days I find that most people are not doing that in the progressive movement. Some do. Now, I'm not going to lie. Some do. In some communities that you move them around to different synagogues too. You know? So depending upon if people are driving during Chag and so forth. So here we go. We first of all, we're going to do, I'm going to give you, while you're eating there, I'll give you a little humming. My favorite little get into it piece here from the Psalms, there's a little thing, Ozi v'zimra Yah, God is my strength and my rock and my salvation. It's almost like a little, it's very much like a Southern spiritual, to be honest with you. So, boy, do we have? We have a lot of melodies running around here. I'm sure it goes like this. Ya na 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 na. You can even think about that ice cream. Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehili Nishua Ozi v'zimrat Yah v'yehili Nishua. Now there's a bracha for Torah, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. That we should get busy with the study of Torah. So here we are. We are at this concept of being at the mountain. I'm calling this "What Happened at Sinai." All right, what happened at Sinai? So this comes basically right before the Exodus 19. Anybody know about where that is? What is Exodus 19? What's going on about right there? But you don't have to read that. You sort of just like know in your mind. I like the way you think. I really do, but we're well beyond the plagues at this point.
Okay.
There are many progressive Jews that would tell you that this is a plague, okay, because we're about ready to receive Torah, okay, and again, but this is nope. This is right about this time that we are about ready to get what?
The tablets?
The top 10 hit list, right?
Yeah.
Or what people will say, the Ten Commandments, or more broadly, the rabbis teach the Torah, right? That's why one of the things from the concept of Shavuot is that we are at this time of Zman Matan Toratenu, that we are in the time of the giving of Torah, right? So we have this great piece of the literature, if you want, the Torah, and it sets the stage in such a way that is unbelievable. I'll just give you a little bit in Hebrew, and then I'll let somebody read with whoever has a very, if you want, robust, active voice. I'm going to ask you to read. But you can hear it really what's going on there just in the Hebrew. Vayehi vayom hashlishi bihiyot haboker vayehi kolot uvrakim ve'anan kaved al hahar ve'kol shofar chazak me'od. You can feel it, right? You feel it in the Hebrew. All right. Who has that voice from Broadway? Who's got it? All right, Courtney, they are pointing at you.
All right.
Here we go. On the third day, Courtney.
On the third day, as morning dawned, there was thunder and lightning and a dense cloud upon the mountain and a very loud blast of the horn. And all the people who were in the camp trembled. Moses led the people out of the camp toward God, and they took their places at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was all in smoke, for God had come down upon it in fire. The smoke rose like the smoke of a kiln, and the whole mountain trembled violently. The blare of the horn grew louder and louder. As Moses spoke, God answered him in thunder.
Now imagine that, right? Imagine we are at Sinai and you get something like that, right? You got smoke, you got thunder, you got lightning, right? What do we say? What are we thinking about the people's moments at Sinai? What do we feel?
Oh shit, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
A lot of trembling, right?
Right.
Okay. What else? I mean, we got some trembling, and by the way, Vayecharat kol ha'am asher b'machaneh, all the people who were in the camp trembled. I mean, that is it, right? So they're trembling, what
There's awe, some, kind of amazement, and wasn't this coming also as there's a period of kind of doubt about the mission, and it's before the golden calf, right?
Yeah, so they have doubt about the mission, no doubt about it. Of course, there is doubt, by the way, in here, safek, as the rabbis teach, like, on top of that, there is doubt the entire mission.
Right, right,
So
yeah.
I mean, and you know how we Jews are, right? Fickle as we are, it's like we got doubt in every mission that we that we try to, although I will say we're resilient people, right?
Right.
Okay. So having said that, imagine what's going on there. What are they experiencing, right? Does everyone experience the same kind of revelation, do you think?
No.
That's interesting, right? None of us experience things the same way, right? And yet, what does that mean? Have two people ever experienced the exact same type of religious experience?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, so that's it. So that's interesting. Do the notion that we all can be in prayer at the same time, and yet we may experience things differently, right? I mean, makes sense. One melody that speaks well to Phyllis might not speak, well to Mary or and so forth, right? I mean, this is where we, get Rachel to roll in and say, I don't like anything that the rabbi just played in services in terms of melodies, and I want something different, this is, but imagine at Sinai, same thing, God is playing God's own, instrument up there, and all of these things are happening, everything that you're feeling and you're seeing or you're understanding, right? And, while that's going on, boom, this is what we have, right? So let's see what actually the people felt or saw. You won't believe this when I share this with you, unless you've been paying attention, like in Torah. Watch this. We're Exodus 20:15. Those of you that are in your Tanachim. Okay, so look at Exodus 15, and I need a volunteer. Who's volunteering to read? All right, Rachel.
All the people witnessed the voices, thunder and lightning flames, and the voice blare of the horn, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they fell back and stood at a distance.
Okay, so by the way, Exodus 20 is when we start to actually get the Aseret HaDibrot. Okay, Exodus 20 is when we get Aseret HaDibrot. That's when we get every one of those, and we're going to read those, right, this week. And then after that, right after that, so to speak, is when we get this little statement. And I'm going to give it to you a little Hebrew and sort of explain. I bolded these two words in here. V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot, right? V'chol is all, ha'am is the people, ro'im. Boy, I just saw Noam flying by here. He's my Israeli to start quizzing for Hebrew. So ro'im is how we say, lirot, or ani ro'eh for women, ani ro'ah in Hebrew. That's how we say I see. Exactly. Ani ro'eh, or for you guys, ro'ah is how I see. Here, v'chol ha'am ro'im. All the people are seeing, or they saw et hakolot. Now, interestingly enough, the word kol, all right, in Hebrew, right, generally we use that, particularly even in modern Hebrew, as a voice. Kol is a voice. Kolot would be voices. So look what we got here. That's why I gave that to you. Sometimes you hear people say, well, they witnessed the thunder, right? And then halapidim, this lightning, or some people say flames or whatever. And you get down there, v'et kol hashofar, right? It's like the voice or the sound of the shofar, but however you want to see it, right? However you want to understand that. But look at this. The people saw voices. Now that's an interesting concept. The people saw voices at the foot of the mountain. I bet you never thought about that in this text, have you? I know, right? So, I mean, don't worry, the rabbis are going to talk about it, right? So the question is, and by the way, I have my questions on the back. That's the tag. How do we see a voice? I mean, that sounds pretty crazy. Talk to me about that. What does it mean to see a voice?
Maybe a vibration?
You could see a vibration. Okay. So something moves and you sort of see, okay.
While you're hearing the voice.
While you're hearing the voice, okay. All right, that's interesting. Don't hold back now. The rabbis didn't hold back on this. Trust me, we're going to see some of it. What does it mean to see the voice?
Certain sounds can evoke certain colors for people, like a certain sound people associate with a certain color. So maybe when they heard a certain frequency or vibration, that came across to some people in some kind of a color or something like that.
Oh, I love
I'm
it.
just guessing, but
So all right, so one of our congregants is saying yes, that there is certain people can see colors, almost, as maybe vibrations too, right? And so if you see that, it's almost like you're seeing this kind of concept of the voice, so to speak. I mean, that brings a lot to the mind. I mean, picture what is going on here now. This is the same time of the year. Remember, the Jewish calendar starts with Pesach, with Passover, people coming out, wandering across the desert. They get to this joint called Mount Sinai, and boom, they're down here. We just gave all of this, situation, right? And אתה יושב פה עכשיו? Oh, better. תודה. All right.
There's a delay. I have to bring computers.
That's okay. Now we have.
I want to say one more thing.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So when I was a child, we did not have TV.
And
But I
let me
would
flip
listen
around.
to programs that are on TV. I heard them on the radio. Okay.
Okay.
But I would see in my mind, I was visualizing
Mhm,
from those
mhm.
voices.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a very
interesting.
good
Right.
way, yeah,
Like
yeah.
reading
So-
a book.
Well,
It's
yeah,
an
exactly.
auditory.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
exactly.
Visualize the voice. Okay. I like that. I like, there's no visual. So we're thinking about what is it going to mean to see a voice, because the people saw voices, and they didn't just see one voice according to the Torah. Ro'im et hakolot. They saw voices. All right. So interestingly enough, let's go look and see what the rabbis are going to teach. So we have this, I'm giving you a piece here from the Mechilta. All right. It's called Mechilta de Rabbi Yishmael. There's a section, they have them in sections, by the way. This one is called Bakodesh, right? What is holy, so to speak, and section 9. And so this is what the rabbis are teaching, right? Let me kind of give a little bit of how this rolls, because it won't sound quite right, but here we go. All the people saw. What did they see? Well, they saw the voices, or the sounds of voices, like you guys were saying, the voices, right? And the flames of the flames. Now, it made me think about after you said the different colors, because they're seeing the voices, right? Because it says here, we saw the voices, these sounds, if you will, and these flames. How many voices were there? The rabbis are asking. And how many flames were there? I mean, they got the same question that we would all have, right?
Right.
I mean, well, if the Torah teaches that we're looking at kolot, well, how many were there? What's going on here, right? Well, the rabbis teach, but each person heard according to his or her power, or if you want, Rashi's going to mention that in sermon tomorrow night, but the notion that everybody sort of heard everything in their own what? Way. Exactly. Everybody heard everything in their own way. They saw the voices in their own way, right? They saw the flames in their own way. Now, how do we know that? Listen to this. They always give a proof text. It says, Shene Emar, as it's written. The voice of God is, I put it here because, and I gave it to you in Hebrew, Bakoach, right? Either in or with, what's koach? Strength or power, either way, right? Or the voice of God is what? The Hadar. Majesty, we call that. Anybody know where that comes from? Does that sound familiar? Uh-huh. Where do we get it? Yeah, love it. But I'm specifically talking about this verse. Now, if I'd have put the whole verse in Hebrew, I think everybody would have understood it, right? Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai, right? Arazim. There you go. That's their proof. That's right. That is their proof text. So the rabbis, so what do we learn from the rabbis? Oh, the people saw the voices, and then not only that, they double it up. They saw the voices of voices and the flame of flames. Why are they doubling it up? The voices of voices and the flame of flame. Because what do they teach? Because God has a voice with what? Power. And God has a voice with, if you want, majesty or hadar, right? And if God has, according to the way we daven a lot, if God has a voice that shows those two things, then the rabbis are saying, well, there must have been voices of voices. We got two things. We got two flames, right? How many voices were there? Okay, well, that's kind of an interesting question, right? So, the rabbis are also going to teach. Let me make sure I didn't give it away here. So let's do the next text, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Look at Exodus Rabbah. The rabbis are teaching, okay, well, all the people were seeing the voices. Well, what does that mean? Well, voice is not written here, not voice, but voices. So they saw it too, right? They saw the notion themselves. The sages saw it. It didn't say voice. Now, why wouldn't it? If it doesn't say voice, why does it say voices? All right. So this is what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan said the voice would emerge and divide into 70 voices for 70 languages, so that what? All the nations could understand, right? So let's talk about that. Why would a divine voice need to divide into 70 languages? I mean, we know the obvious thing, right?
Of course, that's all the nations. We know what they lost when they did not accept the Torah.
Okay, so Noam says that there's a whole midrash that talks about. I'm gonna paraphrase this midrash that he's talking about. Do you know it all from memory?
Huh? What?
No, do you know that midrash from memory? Or okay.
Yeah.
No, or I'm gonna paraphrase it. Right? You tell me if you know the whole thing. I'm like, all right. So basically, God's going to come and hand out the Torah. God, basically, the rabbis teach. God comes to all these 70 nations of the world, right? God comes first. Everybody, do you want the Torah? And the people said, well, what do we have to do?
What inside? What it says?
Yeah, what does it say? It's like, well, wait a minute. You got to ask me what it says? Forget it.
He said, you need to keep the Torah and the Shabbat. You cannot do this. You cannot do
that's
that.
Right.
All the hard stuff. Not for us. He went to another one and another one until he came to Israel and said, you want the Torah? Israel said, first of all, we take it, then we're going to hear what's inside.
All right. I like his version. I'm going to drag it out a little bit longer than that. So God comes to the first country. It says, do you want a Torah? He said, what do you got to do? He says, well, you can't steal. Steal? Well, we do that every week here. All right, well, so he goes to the next. He says, "Well, what do you have to do? Well, you can't believe in idols. No other gods before me." He says, "Idols? We worship idols every day." Oh, forget it. Well, I'm going on to the next one, right? And what else? He said, "Well, you can't covet. Covet? Yeah, you can't covet anything that's your neighbor." He says, "Covet the neighbors." Oh man, I covered everything that's my. Okay, forget it. So it goes on. Now you see how it rolls. Like so, it goes on to every country, right? And then he finally gets to the land, to the people of Israel, and that's when they say, and I'm gonna raise these specific words in my sermon. Naaseh v'nishma, right? Which is a very interesting concept, right? Naaseh, that we will do, right? V'nishma, and then we will listen. But in this case, maybe more like we'll listen and then we'll understand. Okay. Well, that's odd. It's like, hold up. Aren't you I need to see how things roll before I'm just gonna do what you asked me to do, right? That kind of thing. And so this is the notion, we have God, had a division into 70 languages, right? And needed people to try and hear what, how does that sit with us? What do you, I see something's on your tongue there. I see it.
I guess I know it's not written this way, but I also think of it a little bit more metaphorically in the going, back to the concept of how we can all be as a group experiencing something, but experiencing it differently.
Sure.
God isn't, he's another being, and he's not necessarily talking the way I talk to you. So maybe he's making a noise and everybody around him can interpret it their own way in the 70 different languages that are meaningful to them.
Great.
You know that today Google can do it. Can translate immediately.
I
to
know,
any
I love
language
Google
Right,
when I
any
go
language you
somewhere.
want, right. Yeah, just go get the AI, right? If
Exactly.
This was God's Google.
yeah, God's Google. Right. Okay, so that's great, right? The notion that we had divided into 70 languages to make sure that if 70 languages seemed to be the number of languages that we had in the world at that time, right? Then if you divide it into 70 languages or 70 voices, right? Then you got 70 different voices that are able to bring Torah to the world, right?
70 tongues.
Yeah, also
70 tongues.
you remember this.
Speaking in tongues.
That's
I
right.
wonder where that started.
Exactly.
I don't remember who put the Torah with to translate it and then translate it to 70 languages.
Oh, the Septuagint.
I think so.
Yeah.
They close them in a room.
That's right.
know,
Yep, the rabbis. Yeah, that's how they were getting. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that I got to brush up on that so I can tell you. But there's a when they started to translate, this is really when we got into this is boy, it's not what's his name? It's not Josephus. It's early in time. They wanted to know about, in terms of particularly the Christians wanted about, translating Torah. And so they put a number of different scholars in different rooms and said, you start translating Torah and let's see what we get. That kind of thing. Yeah, we can do a teaching on that.
Are you talking about the Septuagint in Greek?
Yeah,
Philadelphus, Egypt, the king of Egypt, and 3 before count.
Right.
Tegum Shivim, 70.
So yeah,
yes,
70 people, right?
Yeah,
70 translations.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So this is what we have, right? We have this notion of making sure that everybody can hear Torah. Now we jokingly say, God came to everybody to, okay, and with you, but just came to the Jews, right? But the reality is that's not actually true, right? We also have the notion that everybody should be part of Torah, right? Everybody should be part of making the world a better place. And
then they change exactly 13 sensitive words in the Torah.
Yeah.
That you will not say, like Bereshit bara Elohim, they change it. Elohim bara Bereshit.
Right. Yeah.
That. Yeah.
So there were some slight differences in a few of the passages.
It was like 70.
Right. So we got to study that. You guys remind me of that, and we'll pick that out one day. All right. So let's take a look here. I brought a little piece from the Talmud Bavli. All right. And it's from Seder Nizikin, which happens to be damages. In the Mishnah, lays out in 6 tractates, and one of them is damages. By the way, that's where Pirkei Avot happens to be in damages, like the sayings of the fathers. That's just a side note. But here, this comes from Makot. Other than Noam, does anybody know what Makot means? What is the Hebrew word, or in fact, what does this mean for Makot? Do you know?
I'm studying Hebrew, but I'm not sure if I know that word. So
Okay, well, this one would be odd, right?
Give them a hint.
No, I don't want to do that. Well, let me tell you, his hint would be to go out to the it would be to go out to the bull stall and to get something out of the stall.
The hint will be to go to the Haggadah.
Well, that would be, but they wouldn't get that.
Like Aseret HaMakot.
No, I know, but I don't think that they would. That's a good hint. That's a good hint. Right. So, okay.
Look,
Testicles
10
or
מכות.
poop. That's what I'm getting from the hint that you
No?
just.
I know
gave.
no, but okay, you ready? Here,
The wine.
I know, but the problem is it doesn't really. Makot are lashes,
Oh,
like where they get the
okay.
bullwhip.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I was
So-
with you.
I was
Yeah.
thinking of something completely
Right,
different.
yeah. So,
or hit, or someone
yeah,
hitting you. It's
yeah.
מכות. Or
It's a,
you get like the 10, how you call it? 10 מכות in Egypt. Like blood.
Lash-
well,
flies.
Oh, the plagues.
those are the
Yeah.
plagues. Yeah, I know. So
Don't talk
that's what I'm
about
trying. It doesn't really come through
Those
the
are like
same way.
metaphorical makot.
Right, yeah, but it's
Called
but
makot.
so my coat are lashes. Now, okay, why do we have a book in the Talmud for lashes, right? So the rabbis, in order for us to understand what's going to happen here, so the rabbis believe that we should all be following, the mitzvot, right? Now, how many mitzvot in the Torah?
613.
613. Right now, by the way, about a third of them we can't do, right? Because it has to do with
No mizbeach.
well, right, no mizbeach, so that's biblical Judaism. So we don't have any kind of way to do, sacrifice. And don't tell anybody, but we're not going to be doing it anytime soon, right? Because if we start sacrificing, then particularly over there, then PETA is going to be on the steps out there. I'm not talking about the bread like he's making. I'm talking about like PETA, is going to be over there. Although there is a group, you should know this. There's a group of Kohanim that are training every year in case we get back the temple and they rebuild, that they rebuild the Mizbeach and so forth. And they're planning on running right in there. They're going to sharpen those knives for you. And they're going right in there and start again. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen because I happen to be a Levite. So my family's got to go back for a watch time. So, but forget that. All right. Now, but here's the makot. The notion of the makot is if you're following all of the mitzvot that we can do, okay, and you're not doing them, the rabbis are saying, well, then there's some level of punishment involved. By the way, this is makot, and it got to where, okay, there would be lashes, these makot. However, according to Torah, right, and according to, things happen, let's just take Shabbat, because the rabbis are worried things will get out of hand. If you violate Shabbat, not you. Anybody know what the violation or what the penalty is for violating Shabbat according to Torah? Do you know? Okay.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
Is it stoning?
It is stoning. So it's stoning to death, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So the rabbis had to kind of rein things in to start to talk about, okay, how are we going to do this? And they came up with this concept of so we can study this tractate one time. It's quite interesting to say the least, and to talk about these. Here we go to see what they're saying specifically, okay? Now, they're coming in here and they're saying basically there are these two mitzvot. What? And we find these in the 10 Commandments, right? I am Adonai, your God, and you shall have no other gods, but before me, right? The first two of the 10 Commandments, what? That we heard from the mouth of God. Okay. Now go down to where it says 5 down here. Okay. And the Torah teaches the people of Israel say, in this, and I'm not exactly paraphrasing, this is sort of what happens here in the Torah. Moses, you speak to us, what? Lest we die. They're worried about what are these voices going to sound like? Okay. We've already heard something and we're hearing voices. Now, in today's society, if somebody tells you if somebody says I'm hearing voices, what do people say about them?
They're crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? You're an idiot. You're a lunatic, right? But the people are hearing voices according to the Torah, right? And so they're telling, and this comes in the verse, by the way, right after the verse, literally after it says that they heard or that they saw voices, right? So not only are they hearing voices, but they are seeing voices. And so the verse after says, they say, Moses, you better speak to us. We don't want to die. Something is wrong here, right? So the Torah implies that God's voice, or if you want, as we read, voices, right, was simply too much for the people to take in. Somebody was saying that, right? Who was that? You? I forget who was saying that. That it was too much for the people to take in, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now, here's my question. I'd love to hear what we think about this. Can the truth ever be overwhelming? And by the way, we share many times, I cannot unsee that, or I cannot unhear that. I mean, I don't make this stuff up. We've all heard someone say it or said it ourselves. So can the truth be overwhelming?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Why? How?
Because acceptance is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance of the truth is difficult. Okay.
Especially if it contradicts what you think you know.
Or what you want to know.
Yeah, cognitive dissonance. and all
I'm
that.
thinking of
Ooh.
9/11.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if it contradicts what you think you want to know,
Right.
or what it might actually mean, right?
Mhm.
Okay. What else?
Well, if you're not prepared for it in any way, shape, or form.
If you're not prepared for it,
Yeah.
right?
That makes
Rega,
sense.
rega. If you need a ride, anybody out? Rega. Anakalum di nakshaf. Okay.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah.
It
A
might be
lot.
something that you're not aware a fault or something that you're just not fully aware of, and that someone's pointing out to you. And
Yeah, the truth
right,
hurts.
right.
That's interesting. I was hoping somebody would say that, because when you hear or you see those kind of voices, and everybody was
Right.
trembling, the truth might really be hurting.
Right.
The ears, the eyes, all the senses, because they're saying, Moses, you better start speaking to us, because whatever's going on here, we got some issues, and I feel that too, right? Of like,
Yeah.
the truth could hurt.
Yeah. Well, definitely in the beginning.
Right?
Well, and it could also be that if Moses speaks to them, that's something they're used to. They know what he sounds like, it's voice. I mean, so you don't have this extra layer or two or three of, seeing voices. It's a communication in the form that the people were used to, as opposed to something very new.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. So we're used to him as the prophet, and the prophet has a way seemingly to communicate with God, and we can work with that.
Right.
He might also soften the message just enough to where if it came directly from God, it might really hit you like bam. But he might say it in such a way where you can receive it without it like knocking you completely for a loop, because he's going to be like, okay, because he knows the people too. So he knows, like, if I know you, I might say something to you in a certain way, as opposed to, I might say it to you in a different way, depending on personality. So
absolutely.
Great.
He knows his audience.
No, I mean, it's great. So what we're saying here is that, Moses seems to have the ability to interpret, the concept of God, or what God shares. That's interesting, because also, the rabbis believe, and this is particularly a Maimonides, concept, that Moses had the ultimate active intellect. Maimonides was heavily influenced by Aristotle. Okay, or he is very Aristotelian in his thought processes, and so and Aristotle talks about this concept of the active intellect and Neoplatonian thought and so forth, right? And so the rabbis believe that this guy Moses had the ultimate active intellect so high that that his engagement with God on that mountain, it was at a level that none of us can be. So like, he had the ultimate PhDs, not one, but many, and so, and by the way, when we start thinking about there's some other good stuff to say, but when we start thinking about like Plato and his thought process, there's this concept called the theory of forms. You guys heard about that before? Theory of form. Okay. So, and it's like these over existing society in the world, right? And there's a form for everything, a form for speaking, a form for understanding, a form for, being able to cook, a form for everything. There's one for everything, right? But right there amongst those forms, one of the forms, according to Plato, kind of hangs just a little bit higher. Anybody want to guess what that form would be?
not following.
That's all right. It's the form that really sits above is the form of knowledge, right? Because knowledge is what informs everything, right? And that's what he was. I mean, that's what Moshe, like what you said, he had the ability that no one else had to interpret, right? All right. Now, okay, look at 6. After hearing the first 2 mitzvot, the first 2 commandments directly, the experience became too overwhelming. We're talking about, so the people asked Moses to, as we said, mediate the rest. Why would the rabbis want to reduce the miracle? That is to say, why not say that the people heard all 10 commandments directly? It's kind of an interesting thing, because the rabbis, look here in the Bible, they specifically want to just say, well, basically the people heard what? They heard, these first 2 from God, right? That I'm Adonai your God, and you said, so really the notion of monotheism, the notion of this is God and there's no, why would they do that? Why not say that they heard all 10? Because it doesn't say it in the Torah, right? The Torah, so we read the verse. It said, right, the people, what? They saw the voices. Didn't say which commandments were presented.
Right.
And by the way, this is right after the commandments. So we find, the commandments are there, the 10 utterances, right? Aseret hadibrot. They're not called the 10 commandments in the Torah. They're called 10 utterances, if you will. And so then, okay, so we heard these, or we saw these voices, and then right after that, Moses, you speak to us, lest we die. But the rabbis say the people only heard 2 commandments, or 2, if you want, voices from somehow of 2 vocals. Ooh, I like that. They heard 2 vocals.
Maybe echo.
Maybe what?
Echo.
Oh, an echo. Yeah, it could be. The echo of those, right? But they're saying only 2, right? They are trying to reduce the miracle. Why not say all 10?
Too much for people to take in.
It's an interesting concept.
These 2 are the top 2. It's about the monotheism. The others are as important, but maybe not as important to the rabbis. Maybe it's, I don't know, job security. Right?
Oh, look at my last question, because based on what we heard, remind me, it's
I'm sorry, Rebecca.
Rebecca. That's it, Rebecca.
I wasn't looking.
All right, so because Rebecca was saying, that we had, this notion of how he was able to expound on it, right? How he's able to teach it, how he's able to show it to the people. Now, we don't learn that, by the way, in Torah, right? I mean, that's not taught in Torah, okay? But we don't learn any of the other things that we might think about from the 10 Commandments based on what they're saying here, right? We don't talk about, stealing or coveting, or, any of the other ones, not murdering. That's a big one. And so,
this is just a thought that came to my head. So.
There's no wrong answers here, by the way.
The first 2 have to do with our relationship to God. The rest have to do with our relationship with each other.
Okay. Yeah. So we have this notion of the relationship with God, right? And then others are about,
don't steal from
right.
Steal.
Exactly. Okay, but what about, but let's talk about, right. So there's 3 spots there. I'll come back to that. So what about Shabbat? Let's just take that one.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's true. But
So there are more than just that concept, right?
well, yeah, that's true.
I gotta
No,
be
I like
fair,
to say it
right?
just popped in my head.
But
so-
no, but I like what you said, because I do think that in the majority look at it, we have this notion of, God and us, and then, the notion of what we do with the other. There is the concept that Noam was talking about. So when the rabbis start talking about how do we experience the mitzvot, right? We experience them, I'm going to give it to you in Hebrew and then we'll go with it. But bein adam lechavero, but between a person and their fellow or another. Okay. But the middle part of the second was bein adam leatzmo, between a person and themselves, which sort of seems to be where maybe Shabbat and some of those kind of rituals would fall, right? Because we have, what spiritual sustenance do we get out of that? And then we come to the last one, which is really where it will fall, right? Bein adam lemakom. Now, makom is the Hebrew word for place. So what do you think the place is? What's the place for the rabbis?
The heart.
God.
No, well, God, or maybe where God rests, the Hamakom would be the Shemaima or heavens, right?
They call it Hamakom. Like
Right.
Hamakom, they call it one name of a God. Like if like someone is more than someone, you say Hamakom Yenachem Etchem.
Right.
Okay. Or in
may God comfort you.
With Isaac, that Abraham, I think, took Isaac to
that's right. That he looked up and he saw the mountain. Right.
And Makom, I think, a Mizbeach.
Yeah, could be, right? So there's anyway, but so we have these three ways that we look at, at the mitzvot. So that could be another way. And so look, I mean, we're still talking about it, but my question, do we still need translators of Torah today, by the way? I mean, because that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
So Rebecca said, and I like that, by the way, the notion that, that Moshe Rabbeinu was the ultimate, if you want, translator or relayer of Torah, right? So.
Well, that's an interesting word, need, because God didn't feel that we needed a translator between him and us, but we decided we needed one.
That's true.
Okay, so that is true. The notion of how we, our relationship. And by the way, the baseline of Judaism is not for me. It's not my job to tell you how to have a relationship with God. Okay, it's my job to help you have one. Right, that as a rabbi, right? Obviously, I would want you, but that's why I always say to people, however you need to see God, he, she, it, we, they, whatever you need. But find, and I do my hands like this, by the way. Can you imagine, and then imagine what Moses was doing when he stepped on the mountain, right? He's walking along, and all of a sudden he looks over and he goes, "Man, is that bush burning?" It's like, dude, what's going on over there, right? And then all of a sudden the bush starts speaking out to you. So I'm speaking up. Man, take off your shoes, brother. We're standing on holy
and also,
ground.
Ki hamakom asher ata omed bo.
Yeah.
Hamakom is God.
Yeah, God, right?
Yeah.
So, so it's like, this kind of thing. So do we need it? It's like, and of course, now we're in the world of AI. That could be like almost the extension, because, do you really need me, or can you look on AI, right?
I think it's like we think we need it. If we have a closer relationship with God and we spend more time with him, then he can be directly communicating with us. But sometimes we're afraid of that, or we're not sure of ourselves, and so we think we need help. It's not that we actually do. It's you know what I mean?
Have you been hearing voices lately? Are you seeing them?
I don't know if I've ever seen voices. But
It's very cold when you speak. You can see the
yes, you
voice
can see
coming
the
out.
Oh, that's another. I hadn't thought about that. That's good.
ruach, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost like that wind. Yeah, coming right out of your. Yeah. That's very. That's very spiritual. I like that. I just threw that out there because I did
But
think
it's
about
Egypt, you know, it's Sinai. It's very no cold over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I was thinking,
That's right.
That would be an event if it were that cold on
And
Sinai.
they got it in Shavuot in the.
Oh, just a second.
In the summer.
He's saying that, but I'm just saying, maybe there because I'm in shorts over there, but I can tell you in the wintertime it is cold over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at Heschel. I have it snows in Jerusalem, so let's not
But it was in Sinai. So
No,
in
I know
Sinai,
that.
Egypt.
Well, how do you know it wasn't snowing?
Huh?
How do you know it
Because
wasn't?
Shavuot is
Right, dude, it's Shavuot now. We just got snow the other day, right? All right. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's one of my favorite rabbis, A.J. Heschel. I'm sure everybody's heard, Abraham Joshua Heschel. By the way, he came Hebrew Union College, where I went to school in the seminary. The scholars there in Cincy brought him over. They were able to bring him over, during to save him, in this time of coming over from Europe. And there were a few scholars that were able to make it. He was at HUC for a while. Wasn't exactly his ball of wax, because we were starting to get right into that time a lot of biblical criticism. Although if he'd been there about 50 years earlier, he probably would have felt fine. But and then he made his way to JTS, the Jewish Theological Seminary, in New York. So he actually taught at two very well-known, world-renowned seminaries. And he wrote a number of books. This one in 1955. Probably my favorite. You've probably seen other things like the Sabbath, and for maybe 20 years ago in particular, quoting Heschel was probably the most it was in vogue. Everybody wanted to quote Heschel in Sabbath and so forth. I've stayed steadfast to it. One of my favorite books that we read in rabbinical school. And this is what he says. All right. Revelation is not an act of human seeking, but of a human being sought after. An act in God's search. He wrote about man like that. So I'm adding a God's search of man. Okay? Because he would write it that way if he was writing today. Revelation is not an act of human seeking, but of a human being sought after. Right? This is called revelation at Mount Sinai. The Torah, the concepts of Torah, the voices were revealed, right? Right. Who's going to read right there? I gave you a little, this is kind of my little take on it.
I can do that.
All right.
Heschel reframes the meaning of revelation by suggesting that the central religious question is not whether human beings can prove what happened at Sinai, but whether they recognize themselves as being addressed. In this understanding, revelation is not humanity's successful search for God, but God's reaching toward humanity. Perhaps this is part of what it means that all the people saw the voices. Sinai represents not simply an ancient supernatural event, but the unsettling experience of encountering a voice that calls human beings into relationship, obligation, and response.
What do you think about that? Take a second and read it again.
Someone said to me one time, we don't find God, he finds us.
According to Heschel.
Yeah, and so that ties in with that. So
Exactly. Yeah, we don't find God, he finds us. Exactly.
have you ever seen those funny videos on YouTube?
Yeah.
Of the guy with the Bible, and he's like, can I talk to you about God? And they're like, yeah, and then it's an animal in front of him, and he's like, don't run away from the Lord, and he's like chasing the animal with the Bible. It's hilarious.
Right.
It's like that's humanity. Like we're always like God's going, here's my Torah, and we're like, running away. I don't know, it makes me laugh.
No, that's good.
Those are funny.
Yeah, because think about it. Heschel believed that Judaism is not primarily about proving the concept of revelation, right? He didn't, because we can't prove it. None of us were there. I mean, and it's a heavy concept, right? It's very heavy. Revelation. But it's about the practice of Judaism, right? And what's Judaism looking to do? Respond to revelation, right?
Well, that kind of ties back to what you said at the beginning, even though it was kind of a joke about went to all these different people and they all went, no, no, no. And it was like the Jews were the only ones that said like, okay, well, we'll do it. And then we'll hear what it is. It's kind of like he was just looking for people that would respond,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah, it
who's
goes
going to
back
answer
to
my
the
call?
Concept of the chosen.
Actually, what they're saying that he knew that the Jewish
Well, of course,
will
yeah.
do it because he came to the Jewish to the end.
Right.
Yeah.
He did not came in the beginning and say, here, give.
Yeah, right.
You know, he went like to show all of you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now it's midrash. I mean, the rabbis write it that way with this concept
But for
in
me,
mind. But
who did he talk to? This is a question. Jewish had the Moses, okay, that he could talk to Moses, but the all 69 other
countries,
who did he talk to?
That's a great question. Like, you know, who did he talk? We should look that up in the midrash and see if the rabbis, you know, who did he talk to? You know, might have, you know, okay.
You know,
I mean, it's such no. I hear you. But it's interesting, right? I mean, you know, God is, you know, I believe that God is still seeking humanity. I'm going to talk about this in my sermon tomorrow night, you know, again too. But the notion that God is you know, seeking us and is looking for a response. You know, how do you respond to the voices, right? Seeing the colors, you know, feeling the vibrations, you know, whatever that would be, looking at the frost coming out, you know, how do we how do we understand that? Because again, Heschel is telling you, revelation isn't an act of human seeking, but of a human being sought after, right? God is looking to find us, right? I mean, it's like this, I mean, there are a number of narratives that show this, but you know, when we were at the High Holy Days and we read the narrative of Job, right? You know, or the other thing is not Job, Jonah.
Yeah.
It's kind of coming with my my J's. We're reading Jonah, right? And Jonah is, you know, he's like, don't call on me, Jack. And so he's like, oh, I'm calling on you. God is seeking him out, right? And so yeah, right. But he wants him to go to Nineveh, right? And he's like, okay, and so Jonah's like, yeah, see you later. I'm jumping on the ship here. Right. And so God's like,
don't run away from the Lord.
Yeah, that's right. He jumps on the ship, and again, what happens? You know, God's gonna wreck the ship, you know, and you got to throw me over, right? And then he finds himself, and you know, he's like Nemo's father. He's in the belly of a whale, right? And then he gets spit out on the, you know, the land. It's like, well, look what you're going to be doing, brother. You're going. So there's you know, in our history, there is the notion of being called, right?
Right.
How's it fun?
Well, listen, even if there's stories and not narratives, I mean, there's still stories or narratives that are showing us what it means to be called. You know, that's the question that we're answering, right? Imagine now when you look back now after the discussion, V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot, that all the people saw the voices, right? I mean, I almost feel like it's like the shadow puppets jumping out, you know, what, you know, and you know what that would be like. Imagine standing there. Vayhi vayom hashlishi bihiyot baboker, and it came to pass on the morning of the third day, right? Vayhi kolot uvrakim, right? That there were the sounds or the voices of thunder. The anan kaved ahar, and there was a smoke, right? And it was on top of the mountain. And then the voice of the shofar. Chazak me'od, I mean, I can't even imagine what that would have been like.
So who was playing the shofar?
Mount Sinai.
We never learned that either. Although maybe I should look it up. I bet there's a midrash about he was blowing the blowing the
Midrash
shofar.
says that,
The Baal Tekiah was blowing the shofar.
Midrash says that who was there, that everyone was there, all the Jewish, even who didn't born yet.
That's right. The notion of revelation is, again, that and that comes from Parshat again, from Nitzavim, Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem, that all of you were standing there. I'll give this sermon to you later in the year, but how do we say to stand in Hebrew?
Stand, Nitzav?
No, I didn't say that.
Omed?
Omed. We say, like in the Amidah, is the standing prayer, right? We do the Amidah. So what we normally say is, if I say I'm standing here waiting, ani Omed Akshav, right?
Yeah. But
so hold on. So then, right? So then that's a regular standing, but this kind of standing at the mountain, the standing he's talking about that they said is a nitzav. I looked it up, by the way, one time, and this is before we had all these major tools now that we have that you can do things with online. But the only times that nitzav shows up, this kind of being at the mountain, it's another sermon. Only time nitzav shows up is when people are standing for or with a purpose. Otherwise, you just don't make. You're just standing.
Yeah.
But if you're standing with a purpose, and the purpose happened to be to see voices, oh my.
in Hebrew, when you are, like, if you in a movie, they're making a movie,
Yeah.
they need the nitzavim to the movie. People that be
The stand-ins. They're standing there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. I didn't realize that they called those guys nitzavim.
Yeah, they call nitzavim.
Ooh, I'm going to use that in one of my next sermons with that nitzav. That was good. All right, so I share that with any last thoughts. Anybody want the Shura Tachtuna? You know what the Shura Tachtuna is?
Last
word.
last sentence.
Well, let me tell you what it really is.
Raw?
Well, what's the tuchus?
Your rear end.
Yeah, it's the bottom, right? And a shore in Hebrew is a line. So it's really the bottom line.
Okay.
The Shura Tachtuna, right? Tuchus, right? Okay. So I share this with you as we're finishing now our wonderful tikkun, right? So Chag Sameach. I look forward to seeing everybody. I'm sure everybody is going home to study the rest of the night. Eat more ice cream or whatever you do. I'm gonna see and check on my daughter and the Rebbetzin, and we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow night for services. So Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.